1, and we're rolling.
Canada.
3. Oh,
I was giving it some space before we started this, and now here we are. He did the countdown. He counted me in. Deep breath, couple deep breaths, and now here we are. This is the walk off, everybody. Hello. we're gonna
mid-season form.
we're gonna count this. Yeah, exactly. We're in season form, exactly. We're counting this as the intro. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co host in the biz, Adam Mack, off his deathbed. The people rejoice. The co host is back. It's good to see you, buddy.
I got a lot of texts.
Yeah.
They were all from my
Canada,
dad checking in on me.
Canada, what a game last night.
Oof.
Buddy,
Hockey.
hockey. Holy, and like I know I mentioned on the preamble here before, but I was in the cusp, BC last night, so we were at the bar. Luckily, it was Pacific time, so we were able to wait until the end of the game before we started the show.
Mm.
I mean, thank God there would have been a riot, but man,
I would have loved to have been your opener, trying to tell just through overtime.
yeah, oh my God, right? Like just overtime starts and we're like, all right, everybody, we're shutting the TVs off. It's
Oh
like,
no.
no, no, no. Even the bar manager was like, should we try and start? I'm like, are you kidding me? You want to get me stabbed? Like, no. But
You
what a
have more
game.
walkouts than a Danger Cats show for sure. Yeah, we are so out of sync. What the fuck is our problem here, Scott?
I don't
Is this you
know.
or me? You have
I
bad internet?
I feel like we're back in sync now.
Okay, maybe we are. It's just a ghost.
Yeah,
You're
right.
in the
It's
hauntedest hotel in all of
I'm
McCusp.
in all of Nakusp, the Leland Hotel. There's ghosts everywhere. This is what we were told as we got here. This has been a very weird intro, and I'm apologizing, but also this is just what we are. So like if you're shocked at the start of this, you shouldn't be unless this is your first time listening to us. In which case, it might be like your last, and we have really dropped a ball here.
If you think the quality of our technical prowess on this intro is rough, you should have seen the bullshit I tried to pull for the Patreon today.
Adam had a clip lined up to play, and
Oh, it did not
his
go
TV
well.
shut off, and it did not go well. It did not go well.
Uh,
Okay, so I bring up the Team Canada stuff because number one, what a game. And I think
yeah.
Canadians were very, very invested in this just because of all the political stuff on the
Mhm.
other side of the border going on, and there was really some national pride happening as Connor McDavid buried as a Flames fan. I haven't cheered that loud for Connor McDavid in my life. And I was just like, "That's right, McJesus," and me saying that, like, come on, right? Like, this
That's
is the guy
great.
who is still happy Matthew Tkachuk won the Stanley Cup,
Oh my
and the
gosh.
Oilers wound up blowing it at the end, right? So like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Flames Oiler love, like that rivalry will always be there. But man, for Team Canada, it was beautiful. But I got a message from SCTI in Patreon. And
Yeah.
man, I want to talk
Yeah.
about this a little bit here because it's such a huge point, I think. And he goes, a little something to have this Team Canada win bleed into baseball. I think it's pretty clear national team play is better than any all-star game could possibly be. I'm thinking WCB or WBC follows suit. Do all the pool play
Uh-huh.
preseason and then ply the elimination games during the mid-season break. Baseball fans would eat that up. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not a not bad way to go. So you do your round robin as the preseason games, or mix sprinkle
Exactly.
it in there.
So where the tournament would normally play in early March, you would still play the preliminary games to set up
Hmm.
the elimination rounds, and then those rounds would be played when the All Star break would be.
That would fit really nicely. Yeah, because that's a better idea than what I had, admittedly, which I don't like to do. Because with multiple nations, like this was a 2 week tournament for hockey with 4 nations. As soon as you had Germany and Russia and everybody else, you're like, geez, this is going to be a 3 week shutdown.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Um, Obviously, baseball you'd play almost every day, so that'd be faster. You could probably get away with shutting down for a week because you already do you shut down for a whole week for the All Star weekend, or is it
I,
just the weekend?
I'm fairly certain that it's pretty much Sunday through Friday, so there won't be games Monday through Thursday, so it's like a four
Yeah,
day window. But I think if you were to extend that another 4 days, you could still get away with it. Obviously, I, I mean, it's
I
not
would want it.
perfect.
I would want it down to the final four teams. Like if you gave me two semifinal games on Friday or whatever the first day of the weekend is, right? You give me the two semifinal games, and then the next day you give me a home run derby and the gold medal game. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think you can fit that in. Yeah,
Grounds
I like
crew,
it. I love it.
drop your comments. Where are you at on national play with baseball? Because I mean, the fanfare for this Hockey Four Nations exceeded my expectations. So it would be pretty cool to see something similar in baseball, especially when you watch the NBA All-Star game go up
Ugh.
against this Four Nations and you're like, who cares? Like
Even the players don't care for
even
that, right? And
especially
that's
the players don't
especially
care.
the players. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I know that they're doing the Olympics next year for
Hmm.
hockey, and then 2 years after that, they're doing the same idea as this, but expanded teams. Right? They'll do like an
Yeah.
8 team World Cup, and then they're going to alternate every 2 years: Olympics, World Cup, Olympics, World Cup, and I guess just regular All Star game in the filler years.
Hmm.
What I would like to see though is rather than have like an A pool and a B pool, is just have like a championship pool and a relegation pool.
Yeah.
Like
I think
have the
that would
two
be
like
excellent.
have your an A and a B and they play their 4 games or 3 games against each other inside their pool, but like Canada USA for the gold, and then you'd have Sweden versus Finland. Loser is
Hmm.
out of the championship bracket for the next year, right?
Hmm.
And then on the other side in the relegation pool, same thing, except whoever wins the relegation pool gets promoted to the championship bracket to play against Canada,
Like I
USA,
think there
or
is a
Sweden or
way to
whatever.
do this, right? I think there
Yeah.
is a roadmap to pulling this off, and
Yeah.
it's a weird way to start the show, I know, but we started so weird anyways. I was like,
Here,
might
I've
as
got a
well.
clip from Boris I want to
Yeah,
play.
let's put up a Scott Boras clip here. All right, folks. So we do have lots to talk about today on the show. We're going to get into Ryan Yarbrough returning. Vladdy's not being extended, and obviously going to hit free agency. I addressed this on Tuesday, but very curious your thoughts on just the whole way this went down. Bo Bichette has such an intriguing season ahead of him, in my opinion. And I do wonder if there is some sort of world where maybe the Blue Jays can sign Bo Bichette long term, or at least get him on another bridge type of deal. 26 years old, so maybe there's a world where we could get him until 29, and he still has the ability to go back. Uh, Even if it's an opt out, right? Even if we're talking like a long deal where there's an opt out after 3 years when he turns 29, this may be something that Bo Bichette would be interested in. I don't think that right now is the time to start negotiations, but we'll dive into that. Spring training in full swing, and the Jays start playing games tomorrow, buddy. And the first TV game is going to be on Sunday. We did it. We got through the offseason, everybody. Baseball's back. And then finally,
That's nice.
who would have thought that the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension wouldn't have that? Okay, let me rephrase this. Who would have thought the Yankees would allow Beards before Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signs an extension with the Blue Jays? I would have never had it on my bingo card, but they did just announce yesterday that it is, in fact, well groomed beards are now going to be welcome with the New York
Iconic.
Yankees. And yeah, it only took what 150 years in the league before they were like, maybe we should join the modern world. So good for them. We'll dive into it. Let's start with the minor signing that happened yesterday. Ryan Yarbrough returning to the Blue Jays. Obviously, he was a part of that Kevin Kiermaier trade and pitched incredibly well for the Blue Jays. 38 innings, 2.01 ERA, a whip under one. I mean, and a lefty. So you bring back a guy that did very well with this team, knows the organization, is comfortable with the guys in the bullpen. You bring back a guy who's a lefty and can log some innings. So this is the other thing that I wish to touch on is like we talked about this, Adam. There hasn't been a Ross Stripling type in the bullpen in forever. And think about how valuable Ross was when he was here. Now all of a sudden we've got Yariel Rodriguez and Ryan Yarbrough, guys who, if you need to, can come in and pitch 3 innings, pitch 4 innings, right? I think
Mhm.
that Ryan Yarbrough was a really good signing, minor league deal. And so what I was wondering what you thought, Adam, is that 41% of free agents remain unsigned. It is February 21st, dude. This is not business as usual for baseball. I was looking it up, and it's actually a huge anomaly of a year for how long it's taken for some of these guys to get signed. And who we're seeing getting squeezed, who we're seeing being forced into these deals are relievers. Ryan Yarbrough, just with his track record, I would have guessed would have landed a major league deal for somewhere between 2 to 5 million, and it just wasn't there. Is it fair? Obviously, life's not fair, but is it fair that some of these guys are being squeezed this tough and needing to take minor league deals when they literally just have a track record?
I don't know what to say about fair. It's
Yeah. What's fair got to do
it's
with
the
it, I guess.
it's the way she goes, you know. It's yeah, what's fair got to do with it. Um, deserve has nothing to do, you know, like all the cliches you want to
Yeah.
say. Uh, Players union's going to be happy that payrolls are going up, but realistically, it's all in the top 1% of the players union. So, you know, it's I saw this
Stuff
interesting
like this
article.
makes me think of the CBA. Like as soon as I read Ryan Yarbrough signed a minor league deal, I was like, "Oh man, 2026 is going to be a nightmare when they try and work this thing out."
Yeah, man, it's just a microcosm of the economy for the world, though, right?
Mhm.
It's like the rich get richer, the middle class gets squeezed out. I was watching this video on some economy channel, and they were talking about Walmart's big push for the upper class and how they're attracting the wealthier customers and blah blah blah. And you know, describes the upper class is like anyone making 100,000 or more for a family household income and all this stuff. And I just thought it's just because no one can fucking afford anything. Like
Yeah.
we,
Yeah.
you have to. Like there's no, I don't know. It's just wild times when like being in the top 10% of incomes in North America,
Means you
you're
can
still
shop
like,
at Walmart. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh man, thank God I can maybe get a new pair of jeans this year. It's rough shape, but I don't want to get into too much politics, so
No, no,
I'll
no, no,
just
no.
divert back to ball. But I think, like you said, CBA coming up, and it is like there there's reckoning coming, man.
There is, and I think you really nailed it when you were like,
Donald
listen.
Trump for commissioner. You never know.
You really nailed it when you're like, you know what? The player union is probably happy. And I think it really is like a split there because, yes, the if you just take the average, it's up, right? Like the average salary is up. But you know what helps drive that up is deals like Juan Soto's $765 million deal, right? So
Yeah,
I and listen,
and I
relievers.
think.
Relievers are always volatile, and you can definitely squeeze relievers for a better deal more than any other baseball player because you can look at their track record and be like, well, you were good this year, you weren't great that year. You were good that year, you weren't great that year. And that's normally what most relievers look like when you start going over their numbers.
So lockout coming?
I feel like it's happening, man. I
Like
hope.
when Pete Alonso is a top 10 in the league, top 10% in the league, and he has to shop at Walmart because, he's
Yeah,
getting squeezed. Like, honestly, as silly as that is, he's a great example of another guy that, like, got squeezed out
yeah,
because all the money is for, sorry, buddy, you're only in the top 5%. And the drop off from top 5% to top 1%
is
is
massive.
10x.
Yeah,
It's huge.
yeah.
So that means the more that happens, the more voters you have at the bottom of the union to be like, yeah, fucking, let's strike. This is fucked.
The fact that 41% of free agents are still available February 21st is really mind-blowing to me, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's almost half of the guys available.
Do you think, okay, we saw last year and the year before, maybe, we did see some late signings
Hmm.
really impact performance,
Absolutely, especially
right?
pitching.
So do you think that this is just maybe part of a leverage play from ownership to be like, well,
A
maybe
hundred
we
percent it
just
is.
maybe we just point to some worst case scenarios from previous seasons of guys who missed spring training and are like, hey, Mr. Free Agent, you're not getting a long-term deal.
Hmm.
You're only getting a 1 year deal, and then you're back on the market next year. So do you want to sign today and get a full spring training and put your best foot forward going into next year's negotiation, which is inevitable? Or do you want to play hardball, try and squeeze out another 100 grand, and then have a dog shit season and maybe be out of baseball next year?
Hmm.
Right. So I don't know. If I was a pitcher right now, I'd feel like I didn't have a lot of leverage to
Yeah,
sign. I'd be begging for scraps, to be
and I
honest.
think it's why Ryan Yarbrough finally broke and
Yeah.
signed a minor league deal. Is that
Right.
it's an organization he knew. He looked at the landscape and was like, you know, who really needs a left-handed pitcher? The Toronto Blue Jays. They know me. They know what I can do. I performed well with them last year, and I'm probably going to be penciled into that bullpen as a long man lefty specialist. And honestly, dude, the Blue Jays do really need that right now, but it is interesting to watch them be able to pull that off for league minimum.
Um, as a long man potential, I would say if you're looking at if you're a long man guy like Yarbrough and you want an opportunity to show off that skill, that ability to pitch long, whatever. There's no better team than the Blue Jays, right? Like this is a team we went over this last week. Aging starting rotation.
Yes.
Max Scherzer held together with wishes and band-aids at this point. There's even if he stays healthy, there's got to be serious load management. You're not going to have Max Scherzer pitching 7, 8 innings unless he's got a shutout going, right? Like if he's given up a run and we're up 3-1 and it's the end of the fifth, he's probably done,
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with
Like
that.
you
I
go,
would agree
hey,
with
we
that.
could probably limp through this. We could, get Yarbrough and Rodriguez. Like we could probably patch together a bullpen day to hold on to the win here. But you've got to worry about September and October if that's the plan.
Hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of opportunities, I think, for a long man to show, hey, I can go 2, 3 innings.
I think it is a real benefit to have guys like Ryan Yarborough and Rodriguez in that Yariel, in that bullpen for the
Mhm.
reason you just said, but maybe to give a spot start here or there. Like
Sure.
again, if we're just going to more or less do load management with this
Mhm.
aging pitching staff, and I think that it would be in the best interest of the organization to do just that, then and when you look at the future too, it would be nice to continue to stretch out Yariel, right? To continue to give him 2 or 3 innings here or there, allow him, if there is for whatever reason a bad taco, that they can cover the spread, right? Like they can
Mhm.
come in and cover innings. And this is something that the Blue Jays haven't had in quite some time. And I know we've talked about this too, but the average team needs between 12 to 14 starters in a season. And the Blue Jays the last few years have been able to get by on 7 or 8. So knock on wood that the good luck continues when it comes to pitching health. But
Yeah, there will almost certainly be times this season where maybe Gossman gave us 8, Barrios gave us 7, and we're playing the White Sox. And we go, you know what, Max? We're going to skip you in the rotation. And like
yeah,
you said, Rodriguez is getting the start. He's going 3. Yarbrough's giving us another 2 or 3.
yeah.
There's your 6 innings. And you're going, all right, we got a fresh bullpen. It's a weaker opponent or a NL matchup or something less important than a
Mm-hmm.
Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles game. And you go, yeah, let's start stretching Rodriguez out and give Max a. So yeah, I liked it. It's good. It's good. It's a good signing.
Okay, let's dive into the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension. I mean, obviously, pretty disappointing for Blue Jays fans in general. I know that you and I talked about this, and neither of us truly believed that he was going to sign, but very much like Shohei Ohtani and very much like Roki Sasaki, I never believed until I did, right? Like, it just
Uh-huh.
really felt as the deadline was coming that there was momentum, and you were hearing stuff from guys like Carlos Baerga, Hector Gomez, that they're in the realm, they're in the
Mm-hmm.
vicinity of what Vladdy is after. And then you hear from Jeff Passan that there was a huge gap and that the Blue Jays did put up big money. Okay. So it does make you wonder what the numbers were. Obviously, we're speculating and we don't know. My guess is this, and I would love your opinion on it. When David Ortiz came out, and he said he felt Vladdy's worth 13 years, $585 million, which is such a specific number to throw out there unprovoked. It does make me feel like that is the realm Vladdy's camp is in, pushing just under 600 million, and that would get an extension done. So if the Blue Jays offered 475, let's face it, that is an
Slap in the
astronomical
face.
amount of money. It's a slap in the face. How could he not be offended by that offer? Listen, it would
No.
be the highest paid contract for a first baseman in history of baseball.
Mm-hmm. Would it be a top 5 contract all time?
Yes.
Shohei,
Shohei,
Juan. Who else is more
Juan
than
Soto, and
475?
then it would be Vladdy. 475 would top Trout.
I don't think it gets done if it doesn't start with a 5. Like if you're going 475, it just feels like I don't know. It seems crazy to me that we didn't go 500 even for an
And we
extra
don't know.
year,
We don't
or
we,
like
we
with
do not know the numbers,
deferred
Adam.
money.
We do not
I
know the
know. I
numbers because
just
maybe we did go 500. Because let's face it, 85 million. If they did go 500, like $85 million is still a pretty drastic gap, which would justify when Vladdy was asked, "Or were you close?" and he said no, just straight up no. It
mhm.
would justify that answer.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this, dude? Because people keep messaging me. They're like, "What is Adam thinking of this?"
This is not surprising to me at all. I mean, I've been saying for 3 full seasons, like I have a, a video on our page from 3 years ago saying 17 years, $500 million would be a discount by the time it gets done.
Yeah,
And
now it's looking that way.
now it's looking that way. I mean, I got raked over the coals for saying that at the time, but I mean, you just got to look at the market growth, right, and recognize that there was a Shohei deal uh, that lied ahead, and there was a Juan Soto deal that lied ahead. And I didn't see Juan Soto pushing almost 800 million. But like once he signed, what was it, 760,
765.
785?
Yeah, and then there's
Like I've never
escalators.
been more sure. I've never been more sure of anything in my life about Vladdy getting a contract that starts with a five as I have been since I saw what Juan Soto signed for.
Speaking of extensions,
It's just so much. So yeah, I don't know the Vladdy thing. I'm not surprised. I feel like David Ortiz leaking that number is that him talking with Vladdy, and that's what Vladdy was asking for, or is that him talking with the Red Sox and knowing that that's what their offer is going to be next year?
yeah.
You know,
Scary, scary stuff, man, because I mean, the truth is that the Blue Jays are not out on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Obviously, he still makes a ton of sense with this team. And I mean, there is the whole he was born in Montreal. He has ties to the country. His dad played for the Expos. We watched Vladdy grow up, right? He's been a member of this organization since 15 years old. He was the big shining hope when we actually wound up signing him. We watched him finish second in MVP voting to only Shohei. We watched the kid go through a rough 2023 and rebound. Like, there's a lot of reasons why the fan base feels ties to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and I think it's mutual. That said, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. grew up in the business of baseball, and there's a lot of money to get to squeeze out of this. And I think a lot of this is a leverage play, and it's a dangerous one because if he does not replicate last year's numbers, there's going to be a very valid argument that there isn't going to be a team on the open mark who's going to start negotiations with a five.
yeah, like I just think his season would have to be so bad for that to not still be in the realm. Like I think he's a good I think he's a if he does what he did just last year, if he puts up the exact same numbers, I think it almost starts with a six.
Wow.
I think if he has a better year, it for sure starts with this. Like if he
Yeah.
puts up 45 home runs in his walk year, I think it starts with a six. If he puts up 20 home runs,
Starts with a four.
may probably yeah, a little under five, maybe. But even then, you go, fuck, who knows? Like once the negotiations literally start with a four, okay, now we're in a bidding war, and it's who's blinking first, right? Is it Cohen? Is it the Yankees? Is it the Red? Like, there's gonna be 4 or 5 suitors not named the Blue Jays that are in on Juan Soto. So everybody's deal, sure, the first pitch can start with a four.
Yeah.
What does the seventh pitch look like? Right? When it keeps going up. Oi, Red Sox offered me 425. Yankees go, okay, fine, 530 or 430.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go home. 450. Go back to the Red Sox. Fuck, okay. Maybe an extra year. 475. Can't lose you. We just lost out on this guy. Just lost out on that guy. Jays go, fuck, we can't lose you. Bo just signed with the Dodgers. Okay, we'll give you 501. It's just.
I agree. I agree. I think.
And that's not a bad year, man.
No.
I think. I don't know. Like maybe the Jays.
But also, his
just,
camp could be overshooting this, Adam. Like, I
know,
truly believe
and
it's
that's
possible,
where Ross
right?
Atkins has to be coming from right now. It's like ultimately there is a. It sucks because of what we know we were in on Juan Soto and Shohei for. So to not be in on Vlad, and I don't think Vlad is in the caliber of those two guys for two different reasons, right? Like, again, we talked about Pete Alonso is down a few percentiles, right? Vladdy is down a percentile or two, right? Like he is not quite on that first ballot Hall of Fame trajectory, right? He is definitely on a could be a Hall of Famer trajectory, which is a compliment. I mean it as a compliment.
Absolutely. And Major
But
League Baseball did their top 100 players, and Vladdy was ranked
sure,
13.
sure.
So
So
you're
he
just on the outside of that top 10, which is, like you said, right? That upper echelon.
great player, but yeah, like maybe it's just as simple as Ross Atkins and Vladdy and Shapiro, sorry, are just like, hey, here's our offer. And he says, I think I'm worth 585 over 13. And I think that's what the market's going to say for me in 6 months. So let's go. And maybe the Jays, and this is me being as optimistic as I can for how things have played out. Maybe they just said, hope you're right, Vlad. For your case, I hope you have a great season. And whatever the market determines you are worth, we will beat it. We'll see in 6 months and we'll beat it then.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't think there are $500 million offers from you from the market. And there's no way to know conclusively. We think the market would give you around this, and we're willing to top that. 475. Here's our offer. We think that's above market value. Vlad says, I don't think it is above market value. And they go, okay, we'll see you in 6 months. Hope you're right.
So, speaking of extensions, let's talk Bo Bichette really quickly here because it was asked of him in the scrums in spring training, has an extension been brought up to him? And he said, no, it hasn't. Obviously, this makes all the sense in the world why they wouldn't be trying to extend Bo right now because
Focusing on Ryan
it
Yarbrough.
doesn't, yeah, like it's just, you need that Ryan Yarbrough money. No, it's just that Bo, it doesn't make any sense from Bo's standpoint.
Yeah,
But
of course not.
if he is in June-ish, back on track to the Bo Bichette we're well aware he can be, do you think that there is still a window to negotiate with him, to extend him? And maybe this does involve some sort of weird opt out where it does allow him to continue to build his value because his value took such a hit last year. I mean, he only played 81 games, and when he did, he was struggling through injuries, and he was honestly the worst hitting shortstop in baseball. Like I think you rank him out, and it is he is right near the bottom. So if he looks good, would you expect Ross to see what he can get done? And would you like to see Bo Bichette back?
Of course. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll start with that. Of course, I'd love to see Bichette back more than I'd love to see Vladdy back, as crazy as that is. Not to be wet blanket out of math, but the next 4 years, Vlad might 15, probably Bo Bichette, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of giving shortstop who maybe becomes a second baseman, giving him 300 million, or the idea of giving a first baseman who is 3 years away from being a full-time DH potentially,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you look at guys like Prince Fielder and whatever, like there is a path to you're paying 45 million a year for a DH. That's a lot of money. I
It's
don't know. So
he
yeah, Bo
he'd
Bichette
be
would
he'd be
fucking
the
obviously
second
love
he'd be the
to
second
have
most
him back.
expensive DH in baseball. Behind Juan Soto. That's a Juan Soto joke
Yeah.
because of how bad he is in right field.
Not a Shohei joke. Okay.
Not a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Right. Okay. Yes. Actually, you know what's funny is
Show DHs are getting paid.
Vladdy could be the third highest paid DH in baseball in a couple of years. That's kind of funny.
Right. That's funny. Wonder if Bryce Harper can stick it out at first or if he'll have to go DH soon. Anyways, Bo Bichette, yeah. The idea of signing him to like a bridge deal, I think we talked about it on the Patreon stuff before we went live here, of like a short deal, like 2 years, where he's still done and hit, or like at least a player opt out after two,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where he can test free agency as a 29-year-old. It's like, I don't know if he'd do it,
Yeah.
but I'd love to have him.
Me too. Drop your comments below, Grounds Crew.
Like
Would love to
I think
hear
that
what
is
everyone thinks.
the Blue Jays would have to make the playoff, like be a. I think we got to be leading the division mid-season for Bo to be like, okay,
Yeah,
I'll sign for 2 more years. There is hope here. Like I don't think he wants to spend his prime playing for the Chicago White Sox,
no.
and that's kind of what it. That's how it felt last year, right? Like
Yeah.
we felt like a dysfunctional loser.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agreed. Agreed.
I don't know.
Drop your comments below, everybody. Would love to hear what you, the Grounds Crew, think about a Bo Bichette extension. If there's any window of opportunity there to even see if you can get it done. But I think recency bias really makes everyone want Vladdy so bad. But
Mm-hmm.
and we talk about this, right? Is just 2 years ago, everyone was like, extend Bo. He's the guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I
Yeah.
still think that there is some real truth to that, that Bo is the guy. Now, is he going to age out as well as some of these other guys with mega contracts? I don't know. You know, his swing is a lot of mechanics to it. And if you can't keep that bat speed up, obviously that's going to be a problem. But right now, I think he's going to be right back to the hit machine that he was in 2021 and 2022.
If he put up a 300 batting average and 20 home runs a year as a second baseman, how much better would you feel about Bo Bichette?
Oh my God, would I ever love that? And I don't know if Bo is prepared to play second base. I know this was one of the things that was brought up on Mailbag on Tuesday. It was asked if there's a world where maybe you put Bo Bichette at second base in 2025. And my answer to that was basically only if you know for sure he's gone, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is what's best for the team. But
Yeah.
okay, so I do need to get back on the road. Comedy calls here, so we're going to wrap it up real quick here. But first, I will say this: spring training in full swing right now. In fact, games started. I mean, the first game on TV is today. The Sportsnet's playing the Yankees game, and then tomorrow the Blue Jays start their game. That's not on television, but Sunday it is back, baby. We've made it through the darkness. Baseball is officially back. We can watch our game we love. Very excited about it. Let's end on Yankees beards. Did you ever think you would see a time when the Yankees come out and actually say, you know what? Grow some facial hair. It's fine.
No, I think their
I
current
know, right?
policy
I
is
honestly didn't
hilarious.
think so. Yeah.
I mean, just the epic beards and long, shaggy hair that have come through that organization that they haven't made an exception for.
Yeah.
You go, why bother now? Right. So, which literally begs the question, who on the Yankees wants a beard?
Devin Williams. I think Devin Williams
He
came
shaved
in,
it off and is
shaved it off,
like,
and they're like,
look at
oh,
this.
the aura's gone. No batter's going to be afraid of this face. And then they changed the whole policy for him. Obviously, I don't think that's what happened, but it is interesting that in 2025, let's face it, this is an outdated rule. Like 75 years ago, this was a crazy rule, and they were the only team doing it. So to watch them finally walk it back, and I loved the press release because Hal Steinbrenner was like, well manicured beard. We're going to allow well manicured beards.
You know what? I'm looking as hard as I can, and I hate where I'm even going with this. I can't find a picture of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. without a beard.
Shut your
Truly,
mouth.
like,
Shut your mouth,
well,
Adam.
I mean, there's two options here, right? Like, well, I guess one option is ownership dies. New owner is like, hey, yeah, beards are cool.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. We already know that. So you've got two options. Someone internally, most likely a player,
Mm-hmm.
brought it up and was like, this fucking Aaron Judge is like, I want to grow a beard. or whatever, right? Like maybe he's got the leverage to do it. He's also already under contract, and you could just hard face him like you did every other Yankee for 150 years. What are you going to do about it, right?
Yeah.
But if you're courting a guy with a beard that is in that top 1%, doesn't hurt to be like, hey, you can keep the beard. We're cool with that. I'm just saying, when you're
Oh,
getting into
food
a
for
bidding
thought.
war of 500, $600 million, and the tiebreaker comes down to I can go to the Red Sox and have dreadlocks and a beard. I know he's got a buzz cut now, but whatever. Or I can go to the Yankees and I have to shave my beard.
Yeah.
That could be a tiebreaker. Like that might be the difference
Yeah.
in not signing a guy like Vladdy. So maybe it is a little bit of a preemptive push for like, hey, let's change this rule right now because we got hairy horses to chase next year. I don't know. I
Well,
hate it.
that is a scary thought, but we'll end it on that. Mr. Mac, always a pleasure.
All
To
right.
all of you who watched the whole thing here, appreciate you. Obviously, I should have said this off the top, but if you got to hear, you know what a mess the intro was, so don't worry about that. Hit the like button and subscribe. We will see all of you Tuesday for a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon. Cheers, folks.